Well, thank you so much for coming to talk to us today, and thank you so much for coming down. For those who don't know, maybe you could give us a little bit of explanation about Panic and what the film's about.
Yeah, so Panic is a neo-noir that centres on an agoraphobic music journalist who is forced out of his, I guess, what has become his safe, kind of enclosed environment when a neighbour he's become obsessed with is violently kidnapped. So that kind of takes him across London and through the kind of the criminal underworld in his search for his attempt to find her.
And so what was it that sort of inspired you to write the project, and what was it that attracted you to it?
Did you hear that build-up?
Yeah.
That inspired me to it. I was sent the script and I read that, and I thought it'd be great to meet these guys and find out what was behind it. And I was just saying to Sean, it was the thought of, you know, London the way it is, and how compact and how many people are in it, travelling on the tube, and how we sort of get closer and closer into our own zones, you know, and just exploring that and taking that further. I thought that is an opportunity just not to be missed, really. So,
And he's a very complex character. There's a lot of meat there in terms of the agoraphobia. He's a journalist, a little bit, you know, almost stalkerish on one side. Where do you start with taking a character like that and presenting him in a very relatable way? Because you describe that and you're like, well, that's a very unrelatable character. But then,
yeah, well, well, with this man's guidance was really helpful on set. Before I got to set, I interviewed a friend of mine who suffers from an anxiety-related illness, and just kind of spent time with him and just recorded our interview and found out how difficult it was and what processes he used to just get to work every day and get back. And then, you know, as an actor, you try and just take that information, empathise as much as you can with it, and try and put that on screen and trust that your director's going to say, pull back a bit, we've still got a journey to go, you know. So, which happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess.
yeah. And Sean, you mentioned neo-noir, and
Yeah.
I was wondering, you know, London at night, what a great setting for neo-noir, perfect, all the darkness in the city and the gritty crime scene that you're going into. What were your inspirations then to choose that stylings for the film?
Well, neo-noir is and, you know, traditional classic noir are two of my favourite genres. And my initial interest in making this film came out of an experience I had with a DVD seller, just a kind of an older Chinese man just walking through a pub, trying to sell DVDs. Nobody bought them, and he just walked straight out. So that kind of sparked something for me, and I wanted to. It just got me thinking about the ghost economy in London, and how that functions, and how that interacts with the criminal element of our society. And I kind of that all seemed to make sense within the context of a neo-noir, and as you say, London is such a beautiful place at night, and having the opportunity to, you know, again take this man out and push him into that environment. In answer to your question, why neo-noir? I think all of the ingredients were there to make it a pretty compelling sort of story within that form.
And you've got with Dealey, your main character, he is almost the most grounded action hero almost, because he's going out to save, you know, that trope, but really not necessarily the traditional hero that you expect to go out. I think one of the lines that a tagline that I read was going out only armed with an Oyster card and a hammer, and I think that's so grounded and travelling through London. How do you balance that between sort of sensationalism of that situation, but also really, really sort of realistic and gritty?
I wanted to keep the action ground level, I think that was my approach to the film, and I think that was a note I gave to all of our HODs. Like, everything has to be ground level. It has to feel naturalistic and real, within, you know, that kind of noirish London context. I didn't want it to get. I didn't want it to become a traditional kind of thrillerish action movie. So I wanted to keep everything that he uses in the film is they're all things that would be available to him within each beat of the story. There's nothing that feels too, I hesitate to say, kind of Hollywoodish. You know, the hammer he gets is from under his sink, you know, and that's the tool he has for the majority of the film until he gets an opportunity to get something more lethal, which again is completely organic to the story.
And David, without any spoilers, were there any moments that you really sort of enjoyed portraying or getting into during the process of the film?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's quite a milestone film because it's my first lead, out-and-out lead. So, I mean, it's too vague to say I enjoyed all of it, but you certainly, there's a different responsibility on you as an actor, you know, and it is 90 minutes, a lot of kind of dealy. So it was us as a team going round and doing this, and then you have other actors coming in, and I enjoyed experiencing that and welcoming other actors in and bouncing off their energy and using their energy. I kind of, it's funny, I'd come off a film that had, it's fair to say, a little bit more money than we had.
Only a bit.
Yeah. To come out of that and then into this.
I should say that film was called Cloud Atlas.
And yeah, to come out of that and into this, and that felt like family, and this felt like family. So I guess that for me was what I really enjoyed. Yeah, sort of having that responsibility and then working with the other actors, working with this guy, working with our DOP, you know, was great. And perhaps those moments where we had to pick out the nuances of where Dealey was on his journey, kind of outside of his safe zone, and that increasing and trying to peel that back when we needed to and let it go further when we needed to as well, was all very enjoyable.
And so, speaking of families, how has it been being featured in the Raindance Film Festival? How's that? And are you excited?
It's a great honour. Our screenings are coming up, so I'm looking forward to that experience and getting a chance to watch the film with a festival audience, which we haven't done before.